Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, my name is FinaSafitri with student ID number A12123157. So in this video, I would like to explain all the materials about English phonology that we have already discussed in one semester. So yeah, here we go. I will start with the first material, which is syllable division and maximal onset principle or MOP. So, what is syllable? Syllable is unit of sound in a word. It usually contains a vowel sound or nucleus and may have consonants before or after it. In addition, syllable have some structure. The first is onset. Onset is the consonants before the vowel, and the second is nucleus. Nucleus is the vowel sound and the core of the syllable. And the last is coda. Coda is the consonant after the vowel. In this material, there is also something called syllabification. So, what is syllabification? Syllabification is the process of breaking words into syllables. It helps us understand how words are pronounced and how they are structured. For example, agreement. Agreement contains three syllable, right? And we all already know that the root of the word agreement is agree, which contains two syllables, and the suffix is ment. So if we add suffix ment in the root word, which is agree, so what was professionally only two syllables on this word is now three syllables because of the addition of the affix, which is the suffix ment that I have already mentioned it before, and that's what is called syllabification. Syllabification, of course, have some rules. The first is consonants between vowels, and which is the consonants between vowels is split through consonants in the middle of the words. For example, costume. And the second is single consonant. Single consonants, the way is divide after the first vowel. For example, super. And the third is two vowels. Two vowels, the way two vowels is separate when they produce distinct sound. For example, diet. And the last is double consonants, which is split between them. For example, butter. The second material is the property of stress. So, what is stress? Stress refers to the prominence given to a particular syllable or word in speech, typically achieved through increased loudness, pitch, and duration. There are some types of stress. The first is primary stress, which is the main stress. For example, record as a noun, because the stress tends to the first syllable. And secondary stress, the second is secondary stress, is less prominent stress. For example, information, the stress tends to the second syllable. In addition, I will explain about properties of stress. The first is commutative property. Commutative property is one syllable is more prominent than others in the word. The second is demarcative property is stress placement can indicate grammatical category. For example, noun versus verb. The third is rhythmic property is stress patterns. Stress patterns create a rhythm in speech. For example, table versus about. And the last is quantity sensitivity. Is stress attracted to long vowels and diphthongs. For example, arena, corona. And now we move to the third material called comparing the stress patterns of Bahasa Indonesia and English. In this session, we will explore the stress patterns of Bahasa Inggris and English and see if there are aspects of stress of the two languages that can be compared. We will begin with the stress patterns of Bahasa Indonesia to find out which syllable carries the primary stress. More specifically, we will investigate if Bahasa Indonesia has initial stress or penultimate stress or final stress. So, the stress patterns of Bahasa Indonesia. In general, stress in Bahasa falls on three types of syllable, namely the penultimate syllable atau suku kata kedua dari akhir, antepenultimate atau the syllable before the penultimate, and the ultimate syllable or suku kata akhir. The first is penultimate syllable atau suku kata kedua dari akhir. Stress fall on the penultimate syllable if the syllable contains no schwa. For example, basa, bisa, botol, daerah. As we can see in the examples, no words contain a schwa. Therefore, all words are stressed on the penultimate syllable. The second is ultimate syllable or suku kata akhir. Different for the penultimate, if words contain a schwa, especially on the penultimate syllable, they are all stressed on the final syllable or ultimate syllable. For example, bentuk, perlu, benda, sembuh. This also applies if a schwa is present in the penultimate syllable and is also present in the antepenultimate syllable. For example, belenggu, gemerlap. And the third is antepenultimate. If words contain a schwa on the penultimate syllable preceded by non-schwa in the preceding, then the stress shifts to the antepenultimate syllable and the schwa delates. The final result is a word which is stressed on the penultimate syllable. However, that words like these are few in number. For example, putri become putri, karena become karna, istri become istri, sutera become sutra. So the schwa is delayed. English stress pattern. I will explain about English stress pattern. English has much more complicated word stress patterns than Bahasa. In Bahasa, word stress is easy to predict. However, in English, word stress doesn't follow a clear rule. This can be seen from the habit of English dictionaries that list word stress on every entry. As a result, to master the pronunciation of English words, we have to memorize every word along with its stress. Word stress in English can fall on any syllable in the word. For example, stress on the ultimate syllable. For example, believe, return, suggest, arrest, etc. Stress on the penultimate syllable, for example, potato, banana, develop, etc. Stress on the antepenultimate, for example, America, cinema, difficult, etc. And stress on the pre-antepenultimate syllable, for example, dictionary, vocabulary, laboratory, etc. Now, we are already in the last material, which is predicting English word stress. So, word stress is the emphasis we place on certain syllables within a word. Stressed syllables sound longer, louder, and higher pitches than unstressed syllables. Why is word stress important? Because it helps us differentiate the meaning of words. For example, present as a noun versus a verb. which is present. It also improves communication clarity, making it easier for listeners to understand. There are some types of word stress. First is panic stress. This is the stress we use to highlight new information in a sentence. For example, she is waiting for her friend. And the last is constructive stress. We use this to emphasize a specific word for clarity. For example, I love these shoes, not those. Stress pattern in English words have some general rules. First is one-syllable words. In this session, all syllables are stressed. And second is two-syllable words. Stress usually falls on the second syllable. For example, become. And the last is multi-syllable words. In this session, stress patterns become more complex and there are some general guidelines. So yeah, I think that's all from me about all the material. I hope you guys enjoy the video and can increase your knowledge and insight into all the topic. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you. Bye bye and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.